Hi, so welcome to today's video. This video is about the 3 books that changed the way I think. And I've had a lot of books that have had a lot of aha moments and moments where I on what they were saying. But these 3 books really, as a whole, changed the way I looked at things and holistically thought about things. And I actually changed my behavior. Not only my behavior, but my thoughts about certain things and my boundaries, everything. I had that bigger fundamental shift and change. And these are 3 books that I recommend to every single person. And I mean every single person, whether it's a client, a friend, a colleague, or somebody, a very experienced witch to a new beginner witch, anyone and everyone, I recommend these books to. I cannot get enough of them. Okay, so the first book I've actually lent out, so I don't have a paperback copy with me, but it is I Don't Want to Be an Empath Anymore by Aura North. I freaking love this book. Absolutely am obsessed with this book. It came into my life at a time where I wasn't really dealing with my emotional side. I'm an empath, and I kind of gotten into a survival mode of just ignoring it. I was a people pleaser, automatically doing everything for everyone else before me. And I really struggled with putting myself first. And this book was practically the permission slip for me to stand up and go, no, I'm coming first. I'm going to work on myself. And really allowing myself to grow. Every single moment of this book, every single chapter, every single page had a massive aha moment for me. And it's not written as a textbook or a dedication. It's really written as a beautiful emotional story about one woman, Aura North, and her journey into being a healer and overworking herself because she thought that's what the job of a healer and an empath was to heal everyone else. And to the journey she took to heal herself and look after herself and put herself first. And it's beautiful. It's very well written, and it's just a beautiful, easy read that gives you permission. Now I'm going to read off one of my favorite quotes because this hit me. This is one of the lines that hit me in a way that nothing's ever hit me before. Your gifts do not make you a sacrificial lamb. Your sensitivity does not make you a martyr. You are more than that. If you deny yourself your autonomy, you deny the world of what it truly needs you. And I think that's so true. I think as healers and as empaths and energy workers, we forget that we're not put on this earth to heal everyone. That's not our job. The only person who can heal someone is themselves. That's the goal and the journey of life. And we can hold space for them, but we can only do that if we're working on ourselves and we're healing ourselves and we're putting ourselves in a position of better. Does that make sense? I really recommend this book, just mainly because permission slip to accept my empathic self. I didn't have to ignore it any longer, and I really started to learn how to bring it in and make it beneficial for my life and really put myself first. And I'm forever thankful for Aura North for writing that book. Okay, so the second book that I want to recommend is The Secret Language of Your Body by Segal. Is that coming? Now, this is a book that I grab for constantly. I'm obsessed with this book. I love this book. It's very well written. Inna is a doctor, so it can get a little bit medically and like textbooky, but I don't have a problem with that. This book came into my life through a GP actually, which is pretty amazing. I had broken my left ankle twice in a matter of weeks. 2 different injuries, same ankle, and she kind of knew that I was a witch and I was more of a spiritual side, that I didn't really go for traditional medicine and traditional religion. And so she gave me a photocopy of some pages out of this book about the left ankle, and I have never read anything that's so spot on in my life. And just from reading that and not even communicating with my GP that was correct, just by reading that and her understanding that that's what my body was trying to tell me, we both together put in a plan to actually help myself and really stop the injuries happening. This book really gave me permission to, not permission, that's the wrong word, but I really stopped looking at my spiritual, emotional, and physical body as 3 separate things. And it was the first time in my life that I viewed them together and how they were different but the same, and we needed to look after all three to be able to be the most authentic version of ourselves and the best of ourselves. And that just because I was relying heavily on my spirituality, that was getting me through a lot of the things that I was going through at the time, it was starting to fail because I wasn't looking after my physical body and I wasn't looking after my mental health. I had to somehow find a balance for all three, and I think I've managed to do that. And I'm going to say this book really changed the fundamentals of my magic and my witchcraft and my way of life in general. It's a book that I grab on the daily when I'm with a client or a friend and they tell me that they've got a new injury or their back is hurting or something's not right in a certain area of the body. And normally 99% of the time it's spot on to what we're trying to work through mentally and spiritually. So highly recommend this book. Okay, so last but not least, this is not a spiritual or witchy book at all, but I recommend that every single person, especially in Australia, read this book at least once. And that is, and where is it? The Barefoot Investor. This is on my Kindle. This is one of the books that really, really changed my life. I don't like money. I don't like dealing with money. People who needs financial security, and that is something that I put importance on. But I'm also the person who likes to spend money to get that buzz, especially when they're going through a depressive episode. And Scott Pape has a beautiful way of writing and pulling on his own life experiences and helping you with that and understanding that you can have the best of all worlds. I read this about 5 years ago for the first time. My mum bought it for me for a Christmas present. And I was like, ugh, another financial book, another book that I'm going to need a financial degree to understand. It wasn't. It's a very raw, vulnerable book. Like, Scott Pape goes through vulnerability in these stages. He shares experiences about his life that are really touching and how money flows into that. I went through his bucket budgeting plan. I was strict, like for about 3 to 4 years, I was strict. It drove my husband insane, but it's about having different buckets for different things. And you get your paycheck and you split that paycheck straight away into those buckets. And it gave me the ability to know that every month my bills were going to be paid, that I was going to have enough money, that we were saving for a house at the time, so our savings were building up. And I also had money to spend. One of his buckets is spending money. So I still had the ability to be financially secure, but I also had the ability to get my buzz, and it really helped. We managed to save up and buy a house, and now I'm not so strict on it, but I still use it a lot. I still use it to this day, actually, but just a more relaxed version, not so strict with it. Earlier this year, I went back and reread it because the natural disaster destroyed us physically, mentally, and also financially. It was a huge financial burden. My husband couldn't get to work for weeks. I lost my business for a while there. And Scott Pape went through a similar experience where his house burnt down, and he had to really look at the way he approached things and changed things while he was rebuilding. And he talks about that through in the book. So I found that really interesting and really kind of poignant to bring me back to it. I reread this book like every 2 years just to give myself a refresher and a reminder why I have the bucket system in place. I highly recommend it. I really changed the way I looked at money, and really, really worth the investment. I think it's $19. Buy it. It is going to change the way you look at money. It is simple, it's effective, and my gosh, he makes sense, which a lot of financial advisors just don't. And it's realistic. That's what I found really impressive. Like, the whole book was realistic. He wasn't asking you to invest $5,000 into a scheme or anything like that. He was like, just break it up by percentages, not by dollar amounts, which was amazing. And his bucket system really gave us this house, which is absolutely amazing. So in conclusion, those 3 books are just 3 books that really changed the way I think. They really made me stop and review the way I looked at the world and reviewed things, and I highly recommend them. And for gifts, I tell my clients to buy them. I tell my friends to buy them. I'm always lending out my copies. That's why you had to use on my Kindle today, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I highly recommend them. 5 out of 5 stars. Even if you take 1 or 2 things away from each book, they're perfect to have in your arsenal. I do have some links down below in the description box of affiliate links with Amazon if you're interested in purchasing them from your local bookstore, but if you want to use Amazon, I do get a little bit of a kickback, so just be aware. But thank you for supporting the channel. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, please like and subscribe and ding the little bell or whatever they say. And thank you so much, and have a lovely evening or day wherever you are in the world, and may it be so.